Do you have a template for your masterpiece? We all want to create something beautiful, but how often do we put ourselves in the way of beauty? Our work echoes what surrounds us. We cannot expect to contribute to beauty unless we make the effort and invite it into our lives. This video comes in two parts. Firstly, how we absorb beauty from the environment, and secondly, I want to take an example applying John Ruskin's ideas about great art to the movement of the sea. Point 1. Absorbing beauty. As human beings, we are made to imitate. This is how children learn. So I have a little niece called Nola, and she started playing hide and seek with her parents. And she'll also copy what you do in other parts of life. If you give her a little piece of food, in a couple of minutes time, once she's semi-full, she'll also offer you a piece of food in return. We are made to imitate. Children will even imitate animals when they're playing. For example, they might roar like a lion when they want to feel brave. As adults, of course, we are much more regulated in our behavior, but we still absorb massively from our environment. I remember at school, I used to do a lot of debating, and there was another person that I looked up to subconsciously, without even consciously doing this. I would imitate little phrases that they used, but also things like body language, like a particular arm movement they would use to stress a point. Just as we imitate other human beings and learn from them, I also believe that we take on the characteristics of our physical environment, and this is where beauty comes in. Just compare your breathing when you're on your morning commute through a city centre, jostling for space with hundreds of other people on the pavement, crossing a busy road, to spending time surrounded by nature. The level of your breathing will be radically different without you even paying any attention to it. This will happen naturally. So the question becomes, are you being selective? What are you surrounding yourself with? This is your sensory diet. For example, if you're eating junk food, you're not going to win the marathon. The same applies for creativity. Surround yourself with beauty to create something beautiful. Now it's time for an example that everyone can relate to. Let's take a scene change and go back to the beach. I'm going to be talking about watching the ocean and how the ocean exemplifies John Ruskin's ideas about what makes great art. John Ruskin talks about the balance between consistency and change. Say in classical music, you often have a grand main theme that repeats, but if it repeats too many times, it becomes boring. The sea exemplifies this balance between consistency and change. On the side of consistency, it is broadly the same color throughout. You have this big sweep across the view as all this water faces directly up towards the sky, looking straight down on it. In the distance, you have these long, consistent strips of white foam as the wave rolls towards the beach. On the side of variety, yes, it's broadly the same color, but if you look more closely, the shades morph from green into deeper blue, sometimes gray. It changes with the sunlight and the cloud, and when the wave rises up, the top point of the wave is the thinnest point, and it almost becomes golden just before it breaks. And look how all these currents blend in the shallows, moving in, moving out, sometimes diagonally across. And now again, your eye recedes towards the distance, and everything dissolves into stillness. It is all movement and all calm in the same view. The sea is therefore a great template for creative output. If you observe it even for a while, you feel its effects, and that translates into whatever you're working on thereafter. It's time to finish with a call to action. Pick out one beautiful thing in your normal surroundings and look at it every day. Let me give you an example. When I'm working in London, I commute into Westminster from the Victoria side, down this long traffic-laden street with office buildings stacked side by side and building work resounding in the background. But there is one Victorian pub, the Albert, on a separate plot of land, like an island lost in time, that brings a splash of contrast and individuality. It's only 3 stories high, and it has these grand pillars by the entrance with flowers hanging down over the awning, and that brings a completely different mindset when I'm going into my day. If you can find just one thing like this, you'll start noticing beauty all around you, and this will transform your creative practice. Enjoy, see what you can find, and I'll see you next week.